Okay, so what I'm going to do is use the players list that we all grew to know and love yesterday afternoon, and I'm going to render a table of these players. Okay, so in server.py, I have my index.html set up. So what I'm going to do, like I just said before I started recording, I'm going to use Bootstrap. And again, merely a suggestion on my part. You can do whatever you want, but I recommend you do the same because once you can use Bootstrap, Bootstrap is really easy to do kind of intricate styling, and it's just a matter of adding a couple classes. So what I'm going to do is go to the internet and I'm going to search for Bootstrap CDN. Did you guys talk about Bootstrap at all in what fun you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to Bootstrap. I'm going to get the CDN, and I can never remember which one it is. I think it's this one. And I'm just going to paste that inside of index.html. So I'm going to put it.
Oh, interesting. So you don't post it in your. Oh yeah, it is usually in index.html. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what's called the CDN, a content delivery. I always forget what the N stands for, but this will basically reach out to the internet, and my style sheet is basically on the internet. It's referencing that as my style. So if I do that, let's see if that worked.
Do you need the script too?
I don't know. I might as well get it.
I think you might need the script and put that at the bottom as well.
Yeah, I'll just put that. Just put it right here.
The script is for like JavaScript functions.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt. I'll just put it there so you guys have it. All right. So, but I think just for the making it pretty, I think that's all I need. Okay. So I want to make an HTML table. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to build it from scratch. So what I want to do is get in this route, I want to pull these players into server.py and send them to my front end. Okay. So how do I get players from this file into server.py?
Import it
Uh-huh. How do I import it?
from player.
Players import. Players.
Cool. I want to make sure it worked. So what I'm going to do, if you ever want to do anything in Flask, you got to do it in a route, right? We can't invoke functions anywhere. So this function is going to be invoked when I go to the root. So in here, I'm going to put in my test to make sure it worked. So I'm just going to print players. Okay. So now if I go back, my server is still running. If I go back to my page, refresh, I can see that I'm getting all my players. Let me see if I can show you, do it again and show you better. There we go. So all my players are coming through into server.py. Okay. How do I send them from my server to my template?
Return players or no?
Say it again.
You can return players, right?
So we don't want to return players. So remember how with the render template, the first argument is this, but I can pass in as many other arguments as I want, and that's going to be my data. Right. So remember how we did that before? Players equals players, right?
Yeah. So, okay. Players equals players.
Yeah. So again, I'm importing players from this players file, right? Players is
Right.
just a list of dictionaries. So that players is available anywhere in this file, right? Because it's not in a function. I just have it sort of in the global space.
Okay,
So-
and then the players on the left-hand side is the file name?
So the players on the right-hand side is the file, right? Or the data, right? The list. And then
Okay.
players is the variable that's available in my Jinja. So I'm going to say, I'll call this players for Jinja. Okay. So now when I want to test to see if this is working, I can go into my index.html, take this out, and I can just, and I call this a smoke test. You don't have to leave this in. I just put this in here just to make sure that, oh, I didn't call it that, players for
Okay.
Jinja. Okay, so if I see a list of players, then I'll know that it worked. So if I go back to my page, refresh, and there's all my players. Okay. Everybody with me so far?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I want to put these players in a table. Okay. So what I'm going to do is the other thing I was going to do, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I could just go here and search for a table. So I can just search Bootstrap table,
Yeah.
go to Bootstrap, and yeah, you know what, I'm talking myself into doing this. So I'm
Now
going to
it
do
makes sense why I'd want to use Bootstrap.
so I can just, there's a bunch of table examples here. You can pick whichever one you want. I'm kind of a simple guy, so I'm just going to take the first one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in my index.html. Okay. So let's see what that looks like. Cool. So what I want is a row for each of my players, right? But instead of first, last, handle, I'm going to say name, position, name, age, position, and team. Okay. I also added an ID, and I did that just in case. Depending on how far we get, we may use this or we may not. So I want to render the ID, the name, age, name, ID, name, age, position, and team.
And those IDs are just strings, right? They're not like HTML ID tags.
It's just a number, just like age is a number.
Okay, so it's just a string, right? ID.
It'll come through as a string. Yeah, it'll
Okay.
render just like a string.
I was making sure it wasn't the HTML element.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so my form looks like this, right? So this is the heading, right? So we have table head, table row, table eight, TH is for table head, right? And these are all of the entries on my table, right? So in essence, I don't want it to say Mark Otto. I wanted to say Kevin Durant and all that. So let's work on the head first. What would I need to change this to render all the aspects of my player?
So you use Jinja to call the different elements of the table as you would in Python, like
Yep.
with the Python syntax, right?
Yep. But this can just be hard coded, right? Because I want
I was
these
just
to
gonna
be.
say.
Yeah, this is going to be name. Name, age. Missing a name, age, position, team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change first to name.
And you could change that pound sign to ID if you want, since you have that.
Yep, I could change this to ID
Wait, so why do you want to hard code it instead of using Jinja?
because this is going to stay the same.
Okay.
This is just the heading. So right, so this is
But
just
I could use Jinja to do that.
you could, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so name, age,
Position.
Position.
Team.
is this
And
shown?
another one, team.
Team. Cool. There we go. Okay, so I only need one of these, right? Because I'm going to iterate through my list and I'm going to display a row for each player. Okay. So what I'm going to come in here and do is delete everything except for mark auto. Okay, because I don't need to hard code these others. I'm going to use Jinja to loop through my list. Okay, does that make sense, everyone?
Oh.
Okay, so now once we'll take a look at it again, now I should only have one row. But this row, it's not going to say Mark Otto, it's going to say Kevin Durant, and then I'm going to dynamically render all of the other rows. Okay. So all I need to do now is wrap Jinja tags around what I want to repeat. Okay, so the table body, that's just fixed to make it a table body, right? That's sort of the outer tag. I want this to repeat for every one of my players. Okay. So what I'm going to do is put in my Jinja tag. So I'm going to do a for loop. So in the shortcut, it's J4, JFOR, tab. And I'm going to move this inside my Jinja tags. Oops. Okay. So I have my start Jinja tag, my end Jinja tag. Whatever HTML I put inside these tags, it's going to repeat for the number of items in my what I'm iterating through. Okay. So I'm going to say for player in, and I forget what I called it. Players for Jinja. Okay.
Here in players for Jinja. Okay.
Okay. Everybody with me so far?
Oh, that players for Jinja was your original Jinja tag,
Right.
right?
That's so. This is
You
the
scroll up
data.
real quick.
Yep. Yep.
Also, the player
Okay,
is
okay.
the list. Okay, so
it.
the number of player is the
Okay.
list. Players for Jinja.
This is my variable of iteration, right? I could call this P. That's fine. I just have to remember that I called it P. But my favorite saying is you want to write your code as if the person who is maintaining your code is a homicidal sociopath who knows where you live. Right? So you want your code to be readable, clear, crystal clear, that anybody can look at it and know what you're doing. So P is a bad variable. We want to use it something that's more readable, right? So now I'm saying for player and players, put this, whatever this is, whatever HTML is in here, do it that many times. Okay, so now if I go back, refresh, I get a mark auto for every one of my players. Okay, so now all I need to do is change what the hard-coded mark auto, whatever this is, to the values for my player. Okay.
Hold on, Tyler, real quick.
Yep.
Okay, so line 16, how did you, or where did you name that Jinja?
Line 16 came from right here. So I'm, as the second argument to my render template function, I can pass down data. So players
Oh,
for
you just
Jinja is what I called it.
okay.
Players is what I
Equals
imported
players.
from my other file.
Okay, I got you. And then you took that and turned it into the Jinja,
Mhm.
and then okay, cool. Okay, I'm caught up.
Cool.
Ish. I was
Okay.
lost, but caught up on some stuff.
All right.
If
Let me
if
do,
you
you
get
know
what I
what?
mean.
That makes me
Does the variable on line 28